Welcome to the Music Journal Podcast, where we talk about the hottest things happening in music right now, and also how you can apply it if you're an aspiring producer or musician yourself. I'm your host, Wes Yee. I'm a producer, artist, and educator, and I'm stoked to be chatting with you. Let's make history. All right, welcome to another episode of the Music Journal Podcast. Today's guest came all the way out from Portland, Oregon, and those of you who have been listening for a little bit now know that I'm based out of Boston, Massachusetts, so all the way on the other side of the country. But it's funny because Dylan Stephenson, who's my guest, and I actually met here in Boston. We went to school together. And when I describe him to my friends who have never met him before, I describe him as the only other Asian music producing skateboarder in existence. So, of course, we had to be friends, and we're not related, but he's definitely my brother, and I'm stoked to have you not only in Boston again, but on the show, man. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Dylan, you are the fucking man. Do you want to really quick just let everybody know a little bit more about you?
Yeah, so when I got into music, it was actually... I was forced into it, and it follows the Asian stereotype actually perfectly. My mom, I was like 5 around the time, she signed me up for like piano lessons. I hated it. She like forced me to practice every day. I hated it. Sometimes I would lie to her about practicing, and she didn't believe me, so she would buy like a bunch of mini DV tapes and a camcorder, and I had to videotape myself like every practice session, and I went through like a box of tapes like every week. So yeah, but then eventually I started to like it because I started to branch out in other forms of music, so it all worked out, so it's all good.
Dude, we had a really similar background. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Some of the people listening know this too, but same here, man. My mom started me when I was 6 on classical piano, and I hated it. And she didn't make me film myself, but she'd set a timer for 2.5 hours, and I'd have to just run fucking scales for the whole time until the timer ran out. But what's funny is I've actually talked to other people about that who have also had the timer thing, and they were just like, well, why didn't you just speed up the timer? Like, that's what I did. But my dumb 7-year-old self didn't even think to do that. Dude, what are you up to these days?
Well, right now I'm out of school, and I'm actually teaching right now as like a full-time job. I'm a freelance piano teacher, and I do complain about the job a lot, but it's very rewarding. You know, like I actually get a lot out of it. And there was actually a testimonial from one of my parents that said, yeah, we were just signing my son up just to like have like a little like side hobby, but I didn't realize like he's like really passionate about it. So that kind of stuff like means the world to me, honestly. So it's a rewarding job. So that's what I've been doing, and on the side I make my own music, and I'm currently like constructing a home studio within my bedroom, and I just installed some bass traps, and that shit sounds buttery as fuck.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It is crazy because I've had a lot of great teachers who really inspired me, and I come out of our lessons feeling refreshed and renewed and like re-inspired. But then at the same time, I've had a lot of other really bad teachers who are kind of demotivating. So with that one student that said that to you, he must have come in not really motivated or not really knowing that this was something he was going to want to pursue, but then ended up changing his mind about it. So that's pretty cool that you were able to do that, man. What kind of things do you do for your students to try to invoke that passion and invoke that the inspiration?
Well, it depends on like what their goals are, but like usually like if they're like really young, they wouldn't understand that. So basically I basically just teach them like the fundamentals on like reading and like stuff like that. Like how to read notes, how to like what's the correct way to like put your hand on the keyboard, and like yada yada yada, that very fundamental stuff. But I mean,
so yeah, what differentiates you from like your mom when she was setting up the camcorders and shit?
yeah,
like how are you? What's your approach?
Patient. I'm very laid back with my students. Like if they like end up like screwing up a bunch, like it's all good. Like I'm very patient, you know. Like I kind of treat it like the same way like I approach a skateboard trick, because sometimes I like can't land it for like hours on end, and it's really frustrating me. You know, like it's a process, and when you do land it, like it doesn't matter what like went into it, you like succeeded. So I take kind of like a similar approach, especially when I'm teaching. I'm very patient like with all my students, and I make sure like they like get what they need and what they get out of it.
Dude, that's real. I definitely have experienced a lot of frustration both in skating and in music. And it sucks, man, because I feel like a lot of the time people will get discouraged when learning a new instrument because it's new. And I definitely, because I was teaching for a little bit at a point too, and I definitely feel like some of my students got discouraged because they saw where I was at, kind of disregarding the fact that I've been playing since I was 6 years old and I'm 25 now. But to them, it just seems so unattainable. And it's really hard for them to kind of see the vision and see that long-term goal because it is a process. What would you recommend to somebody who I guess is kind of frustrated with the whole thing and wants to either quit but knows they want to have some sort of creative outlet but gets kind of burnt out from it? What would you say to them?
Honestly, like, take your time if you don't want to rush it, because I get it, like, people can be very easily discouraged with that, because like you can like compare yourself to like these virtuosos or like these people that are like making like millions of racks like doing that, but like you shouldn't compare yourself to that, because I feel like you should only compare yourself to yourself, because you know that's what really matters in the end, is like, because I feel like success isn't defined by like what's like out like portrayed by the media. It should be portrayed on like how you perceive it. So yeah, I would just say just be patient, stick with it, and like don't rush it. And honestly, like it helps a lot if you like take breaks here and there too.
I hear that. Yeah, that's real, dude. It's not like a sport, you know what I mean?
No.
Where there's like a team involved, so it is so personal to you, I guess, and that's why you should be setting your own personal goals and personal records and all that good stuff. And that's how you kind of start to love the process and really cultivate something amazing. Do you have any crazy stories from either teaching or performing or anything?
I'm trying to think. I gotta dig through my memory bank.
Actually, speaking of, I guess, frustration, I know you hit a pretty rough time at a point in your career.
Yeah, actually, I did get admitted to Berklee College of Music, and at first I was like very ecstatic. I was very stoked, but I was also really young at the time. I like recently turned 18, so like I was still like a teenager. I was basically still a kid, so I didn't know.
It's funny because you think you're a fucking adult at the time. Like when I was 17, 18, dude, I thought I was like the fucking man. But little did I know there was a lot to be learned, and I had a long way to go with myself. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's all good. So I basically was very excited, but I didn't know what I was expecting. Like I was just blindly going there. Like I didn't even like move in like everyone else. I basically just packed all my shit in like one big ass bag, and I'm like, peace, mom. And I like boarded the plane, and I got to my dorm like late at night, and I just like got all my shit and met my roommates, and I was like, okay, here it begins. But basically, I enjoyed it at first. I was very motivated, but like thing was like I didn't really give myself like a break to really recuperate my thoughts and like my personal like well-being, because basically what happened was right when I graduated high school, 2 weeks after I went to boot camp, and then right after I got back from boot camp a month later I attended Berklee.
Right, because you're in the Army band, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically, I didn't really give my brain like any time to like relax or like let loose. You were
just doing too much shit.
Yep. And then basically I kind of drove me crazy, and it like the college culture of like, oh, we gonna get fucking schlitty and get fucked up like every night and eat junk food at 2 a.m. That's exactly what I did for like 3 years straight, and I got kind of chunky and unhealthy and mentally and physically, and like it really took a toll on me, and I started like failing a bunch of classes. I started ditching all my classes. I wouldn't even get out of bed in the morning. I would like not brush my teeth nor shower. Like I would not even like leave my bedroom.
To the people listening, this dude Dylan, I've known him for a long time. This kid used to drink more fucking beer than anybody I knew. He used to eat Wendy's every fucking day, just do terrible things to his body. Actually, I got a funny story, dude. The way that Dylan and I met, because I'm a year or two above him, so I'd already been through my first year of college. I remember my first day coming back. It was Dylan's first day of college. And this poor kid just wanted to get drunk so bad. And I was already drunk, and I had a PBR in my hand. And he was like, yeah, like I skate, like whatever. And he was like, I'm just trying to get drunk. And I was like, all right, like you skate? Here, take my board. If you can ollie that six stair, I just pointed at a random six stair that we saw. I said, if you can ollie that six stair, which is basically when you jump down it on your board and you land back on your board. I said, if you can do it first try, then I'll give you this whole PBR. And he's like, yeah, like, fuck yeah, like, give me your board. He grabs my board, runs up to the top of the stairs. First try, just fucking eats complete shit. Just fucking slams. Uh, and it took him a few more. I gotta respect the dedication.
It took me 3 tries. It wasn't a lot.
It took you 3 tries, but I was drinking that PBR while you were trying it. So by the time you got it, you ended up with like a quarter of a PBR.
I mean, at least I tried, and like, you know, it's all good. I was on a board I'm not used to, so, you know, it was 20 degrees out too. So
hey, that was the start of a beautiful friendship.
Absolutely,
though, man.
absolutely.
But I totally digress, dude. You were like one of the most unhealthy people I think I knew at a certain point.
Oh yeah.
And to the point where I think at least a few of us were like a little bit concerned. But it's crazy because now you're totally vegan. You've been vegan for what, 2 years?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
You're healthy. You work out. You're in the fucking army and shit, dude. You look good. I'm looking at you right now. What was the way that you were able to kind of make that shift and kind of transition your lifestyle into
Honestly, it was like very abrupt and like cold turkey, and basically I like at the time like I was actually doing a research for a month straight about like veganism and all that, and I was looking into like the health benefits. I was doing a ton of research, and I had a very like good friend of mine from back home in Oregon who recently became vegan like around the same time I did. So I asked him just like a shit ton of questions, and he gave me the whole lowdown on everything, and he's being real about it. So I was just like, you know what, I'll give it a try. And it was basically just like a rude awakening. I like looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, damn, I'm fat as shit, and like I feel like shit, and I'm just like, damn, everything's just shitty. I need to like actually like give a shit about like my well being and myself before I like put effort into like caring about my friends and other people.
Dude, it sucks, man, because I feel like sometimes you do have to hit that rock bottom point in order to turn things around. Because I've thought about being vegan. You know, I try to live my best life. I try to be healthy.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I've ever looked in the mirror and thought that before, and for that reason, I've never been able to make that full transition. Like I do my best to observe a plant-based diet. You know what I mean? And I do my best to not do like the whole like red meat like processed thing.
Yeah.
But then, dude, I get like one fucking burger like one time, and then it's all over, dude.
Yeah.
I go through a streak of like unhealthy foods. Like I ate an unhealthy breakfast this morning. What do you think? What do you think people can do that haven't actually reached that point of their life where they feel like they're at the bottom and they really have to either change something or just fucking be miserable? Because I don't feel miserable about the fact that I am not a vegan and not living the healthiest I could possibly live. So what could someone like me do to try to make
Honestly,
those better choices?
I would say like just educate yourself. Like I watched a few documentaries that really like put a lot of insight on like what I was like getting myself into. Like I watched Earthlings that touched up on like animal cruelty, and then basically like if you don't have a weak stomach, I suggest like watching. It basically like shows like gory slaughterhouse footy for
I've seen them, dude,
for about like an hour straight. Yeah,
it's
it is
so fucked up. Dude.
Another movie I watched was called Cowspiracy, and it basically touches on the environmental aspect of like animal agriculture, like overdoing it, and that's how like we're having like greenhouse gases and all that is from like all the methane that's released from just basically cows shitting from all over the place.
Jesus, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, and Forks Over Knives explains all like the health benefits of a plant-based diet, and basically like those 3 documentaries really educated me, and that was like part of my research I was doing like during the month I was like deciding whether to become vegan, because I was actually vegetarian at the time too, so I was like really like debating about like, oh, should I make the full move?
I think it really goes back to what we were talking about too, with the whole like getting frustrated about music thing too.
Oh yeah.
Like just kind of knowing your shit and continuing to learn and kind of grow and research things, are what kind of help you get motivated to actually take the action necessarily to kind of move forward with whatever the goal you have is, right?
Yep.
What dude, I mean, describe like the feeling of being like at rock bottom. I kind of want you to be specific about like what that transitional period was like for you.
Well, it's a little bit weird to describe it in words. It's more of an experience, but basically it's like you don't give a shit about like reaching out to your friends even though you should, and you like ignore them. You don't have like, you don't want to like have anything to do with them. They're just like, man, I just want to be on my own. I don't want to fucking like talk to no one. Like it was a point of time where I did not even call my mom for like a month straight.
Did you have depression, you think? Was that
Probably. I actually did. I did seek a counselor during one of my class. Like when I got out of class, I did seek a counselor right away because I was like, yeah. So,
but you were able to kind of turn it around.
Yeah, so I'm very happy I did that. And honestly, like, I feel like people learn more from sitting at rock bottom than being on the top of a mountain peak.
100%, dude. Yeah, dude. I almost think that I've not to sound weird, but I've spoken to some homeless people before, and I think those are some of the wisest motherfuckers.
Absolutely, they seen the most shit.
Yeah, and I've also, on the contrary, I know some extremely wealthy people.
Yeah.
Some of them who didn't really get that way on their own, and honestly, some of the dumbest fuckers I've ever met.
Oh,
in my
absolutely,
entire life,
because
so.
like they let the money get to their head, especially if they become like wealthy at like a young age. They let the money make them. I feel like
It's like if you think you're the man because you have this, but you don't even know what it took to get it or like the actual value of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've always said, man, some of the worst people on this planet are people who have a sense of entitlement because they have money that they didn't earn.
Yeah, they gotta hand it to them on a silver spoon.
You know, I can't believe I'm telling the story. You know, I got sued by a girl actually when I lived in this area.
Exactly about the story.
You know the story?
Yeah, I know that story.
Let me just give the quick brief synopsis. When I first graduated Berklee, I moved into this 5-bedroom apartment with 4 of us living in it. And because we were broke, we didn't really. I hadn't built my businesses. I didn't even have this podcast. We were just figuring shit out. And one of the girls who lived in the apartment with us, she was fat. She would take these full jars of fluff and like peanut butter and fluff, like pour it into a bowl and then like eat the whole thing, like talking about like not being healthy and like living that kind of lifestyle. But she'd eat the whole jar of fluff in one sitting. And at one point she was like, yeah, I can't live here. Like there's too much junk food laying around. Like you guys are making me fat.
Oh dear.
And long story short, she moved out and then sued us for the fucking rent that she was paying for this 12-month lease that she signed on to live at. And she moved out on her own accord because she couldn't keep it together and
oh god.
And whatever. But yeah, man, I'd totally with you on the whole rock bottom thing.
Yeah.
Dude, to totally change lanes, you have perfect pitch, right?
Yeah.
Dude, so do you want to just really quick just explain what perfect pitch is to
perfect
people
pitch
who
is
might not know?
basically like you hear like any like audible like note or sound and you can determine like what the pitch is, whether like it's in like a key or like what the name of like the pitch is. So it's a cool ability because not a lot of people have it. It's very unique. But my perfect pitch is actually kind of jacked up. So basically how I kind of attained it, I don't know. I was actually a little kid when I got it, but I didn't know I had it until like later. Basically like my cousin who originally taught me piano, he would make me like turn around and not look at the piano. He's like, all right, guess this note. And I would like nail it like a bunch. And he's like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah. I had no idea though. I was just like, cool, it's just the usual.
Do you think you were born with it?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I was like 5 years old, man. I don't know. I barely remember that shit.
I learned recently that when you're born immediately. Hey, we'll be back in the episode in just 2 seconds, but before that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So for all you aspiring producers and artists out there, I can't even begin to tell you how important having a mentor was to me. I would literally not be where I am today if it wasn't for people like Mike Moss, who is a 3-time Grammy Award nominee. He got me my first credit. And Prince Charles Alexander, who's recorded Biggie and Alicia Keys. I wouldn't have been able to continue to grow and progress in my craft if it wasn't for them. So if you've been listening to the show and you heard episode 19 with Kato on the track, you know he's produced for B.O.B., Joyner Lucas, Hobson. He got token viral with his contest before anybody even knew who he was, and he totally blew up. The reason I'm telling you this is because he just opened up a mentorship program that will transition your music from being a side hustle to a career. If you want to learn the secrets from people at the top of the industry, go to bit.ly/TMJ mentor and you can try it for free. That's bit.ly/TMJ mentor. Infants are born with the ability to swim. Did you know that?
No way.
Yeah, infants, when they come straight out the womb, can swim, but they forget how to do it because their brains get filled with all sorts of other shit. Like
yeah, I was about to say, man, I almost drowned when I was 8 years old one time, so yeah.
If you were 8 years younger, you would have survived.
Yeah, I guess.
What happened there, dude? Jesus. I
Dude, I
want to
don't
talk
know.
more about the perfect pitch thing,
Yeah.
but what happened when you almost drowned?
I don't know. I just felt like I felt sendy, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump into deep end.
Sendy.
I booked, and I did like the fattest cannonball, and I was like, I got in. I'm like, oh shit, I can't swim. So I started flailing my shit. I'm like, guys, lifeguard, help! And then they fucking dove in and got me. Yeah, I got saved. They bailed me out. So shout out to the lifeguards.
Shout outs to the lifeguard, all the lifeguards, man.
Yep.
If you're listening and you're a lifeguard, shout outs to you.
Yep.
Dude, have you found that the whole perfect pitch thing has helped you as a musician?
Oh, most definitely, and especially if I'm trying to like learn a song or transcribe it, you can like get it like instantaneously, like right away. So it definitely helps. But also like sometimes it has its drawbacks because like sometimes I'd be like listening to music and I'm like, oh, there's this note and this note and this note, and sometimes I'm just like, I just want to listen to the fucking music and enjoy it, and not think about
interesting.
that.
Interesting. So you can't like turn it off if you wanted to.
I mean, I do it now because I don't like to think about that. Like I sometimes just want to like I close my eyes and I just want to listen to the music as a whole and how it affects me.
Could you tell like what the pitch is of like a like this?
Nope.
Like what note is that?
I can't tell.
Does it have a pitch though, do you think?
Probably. Like if you like pinpoint like the frequency at the fundamental like frequency of it, maybe.
Right. Yeah, because there is one, huh?
Yeah.
Damn. Like how obscure does it get, I guess, to where you can get the pitch? Because you can't get a snap, but you can get like
a note, like a musical note. Or
yeah,
something,
like a
humming.
keyboard. You have
I don't know.
issue with.
It depends. There's a lot of gray area in between that too, and I feel like it's like a cool subject to explore. And I'm not too like expertise in that, so I can't say for myself.
Have you ever heard of like synesthesia?
No, what is it?
It's where so John Mayer also has perfect pitch, and his is synesthetic, if I'm not mistaken, which basically means he hears a pitch, and in hearing it, he visualizes a color, so he has a different color that's associated with each pitch, and that's how he does it. So if he hears a pitch, he doesn't do it by the sound that he hears; he does it by the color that he visualizes. So it kind of reminds me of like, have you ever been on iTunes and turned on like the visualizer and watched all the like trippy colors and shit?
Yep.
I can only imagine what listening to music as a synesthetic would feel like.
That's crazy.
What's like the perfect pitch like for you? Like, do you have to think about it for a second, or
I do. It depends. Like, if I were to ask like what's the key of a song, I would have to like listen to the song like over again, and I gotta like hear the whole form to see like where the chord starts and all that.
So you'd have to like actually use your theory knowledge as well.
Exactly. But if you're just like
out.
pinpoint a note, I can usually get it like right away. But if you're playing like fucking 20 notes at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fucking dissect that.
Could you do it though? Like, would you have to isolate each note that you're hearing?
Yeah, I have to do that. And it takes a lot of work, and I'm not trying to do that.
It's hard to do. Even like, I mean, I don't have perfect pitch, obviously, but But dude, if I play a chord, sometimes it's hard for me to even like sing every note that's in the chord.
Yeah.
Because they're all like together.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say that because you were talking about how like it can be a pain in the ass sometimes listening to music because you can't turn your perfect pitch off?
Yeah.
Do you like listening to like more avant-garde kind of music where it's like trippier, but you can't actually hear like what the notes are?
Depends on the avant-garde, but usually I'm not too huge on that.
I guess I didn't mean like avant-garde, but I guess more like chordal based instrumental music. I can hear it in my head, but I couldn't tell you like a genre.
I mean, I do listen to a lot of instrumental
kind
based
of shit.
music. I mean, it depends. Like I like hearing chords that are like simply like I can dissect it like well, like for example, if it's just like a major or a minor chord, or I can like hear like sevenths and like shit like that.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, but I saw a video on Facebook of this motherfucking little kid. He's like 7 years old, and like this guy, he was like playing a bunch of chords, and he's like guessing the chords. I'm like, oh, okay, I could do that. But then this motherfucker plays like bunch of like random fucking notes, like he literally just slams the piano, and this kid like right away just says like every note.
I have seen that video. I know exactly. He's
I'm
like
just like,
the kid
what
with
the
the
fuck,
gap
dude?
teeth.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that kid's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck, bro?
Yo, you're a good musician too, though. I mean, don't sell yourself short. That kid's like 1 in a million. You're like 1 in many hundreds of thousands. You know what I mean? So that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fact that you're an amazing musician, I know you got an EP coming out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that, like what the premise behind it is, what you do on it?
So right now, the name for the EP is called Expedition, and basically what it means is like I'm basically like close to my mid-20s, and like during like that stage of life for like anyone really, it can go like it's an infinite amount of paths, and like a lot of people can take different routes with it, and so it's kind of like explaining that like finding your own journey and like basically like go where like life takes you, because honestly like the route I'm taking right now, I didn't think I would take this route like a couple years ago.
Be specific though, like what about the route did you not expect and ended up happening?
So
'Cause
basically,
I think that's real. Like I think a lot of people like this girl I'm seeing, she has this roommate, and she was telling me about this roommate, and she was like, yeah, like the other night my roommate told me what her 5-year plan is. And I was like, I don't know if you can really make a 5-year plan, because same for me. Like I thought this is where I was gonna be at 25 years old, but I ended up taking all these alternative routes. I never thought I was gonna be making a podcast when I was, say, like 18, 19 years old. But here I am with a podcast. So.
So like it took like this goes back to when I like started going to school, actually, and you actually were kind of involved in that. So like when I was going to school,
oh cool,
when I was going to school, like I was really into like playing, like especially like jazz piano, because I grew up playing jazz like in middle school, and that's like originally what got me really into like enjoying music, because it's improvisational based, and like it's a lot more self-expressive. I'm like, okay, I dig this. But anyway, I wanted to be like a jazz piano like performance major at my school, because that's all I want to do. I wanted to just play. All I want to do is just play my instrument.
But you weren't even like a jazz like dude, you know what I mean? Like you played jazz. You were like me, like we played jazz, but we didn't like, primarily listen to jazz.
We like to listen to other shit, and I think that's cool. And you know, I incorporate my jazz elements and like other stuff I make. But anyway, you were like, nah, man, you should like explore like other options and see what else the school has to offer. I'm like,
I told you that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you said some shit like that, and I was like, all right.
And you did it?
Yeah. So I actually started majoring in music production and engineering, and at the time I barely knew how to fucking use GarageBand. So I mean, I guess like it worked out, because I learned a lot of new shit like that I didn't know at all. So it was cool to like experience like another facet of like that kind of like, you know, that craft.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this new record you're working on gonna sound like? Like what would you describe it as?
Basically, I like to combine old school with new school shit. Like basically it's like New Job Ace, Ninth Wonder touched up with DJ Smokey and Metro Boomin. You know, that's pretty much the best way to describe it, because like I like to make music, and I like to be open-minded to everything. Like I hate it when people are like, oh man, the old heads hate the new shit, oh man, fucking that shit. I hate that, you know?
Well, it's crazy, man, because I think that the music that somebody makes is directly related to the experiences they've gone through and who they are as people. So because you're versed in so many different styles, and you did the whole jazz thing on top of the production thing, your music is gonna reflect that as well. And I think some of these old people who hate on some of the newer stuff, you know, their experiences are directly proportional to the music that was coming out in their era.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes sense, man. And it's funny because I actually find myself kind of hating on some of the new age stuff too. I talk about it in another podcast. But at the end of the day, man, it's just all about like what your experience is.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What do you do on your record? Like you produce it? Are you doing vocals and shit?
Yeah, I'm gonna be basically recording myself on it, and I'm gonna be featuring like numerous amounts of artists like in Portland, basically Portland-based artists. I'm probably gonna get a homie from Los Angeles who's actually a very good friend of mine at Berklee. Actually, he lives there right now, and he raps a lot, and makes his own music as well. I want to get him on my records too. So I just want to reach out to as many people as I can, and not just like MCs. I want like vocalists and like instrumentalists to be featured. Like because I like to collaborate. I like the collaborative aspect of like doing this. You know, I think that's what brings people together, and that's what makes your music more powerful, I feel like.
I agree with that 100%, man. It's about our time. I think that's a perfect way to close, though. But there is one question I ask at the end of every episode, and I'm curious. I don't think I've ever asked you before, so I'm curious what your answer is going to be. But if you had unlimited money, no strings attached, what would you do and why?
So I would, first off, I would buy my mom a house, and then I'll buy me a house and a nice whip. And then I'll like invest like a lump sum on like starting up my business, because that is one of my long-term goals I've had for a few years, and I do want to stick by it. So
what's your business?
I do want to start a record label, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, I do want to start my own business and be my own boss, like for the long run, and that's what I want to do, is invest in that. And basically I just want to invest in like a bunch of shit. Like I want to give back to my community as well. Like I want to invest in like education, like opening up schools, like to teach like music production, like music lessons and all that to like kids, you know, because I feel like they're the future, and like I feel like they need to be like stirred in the right path, and I want to help like encourage that.
That's amazing, dude. You'll definitely be on the show again too, and I hope next time we chat and record our chat that's either a reality or closer to being a reality.
Yeah.
Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, so right now I have a SoundCloud. Type in my full name, Dylan Stephenson, and type in DSP, because that's basically my alias for my producer name. It stands for Dylan Stephenson Productions. But basically, type in DSP and my full name, and it should pop up. And I have like a nifty logo that's like fucking like white with like blocks that says DSP on it. So that's basically what comes up. And my EP will be on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes. So I will keep you all posted on that.
Amazing. Dylan, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Music Journal. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot out of it. If you want to know more about me and what I do, I just put out a personal EP on Spotify. You can go to bit.ly/Wes Yee Spotify. And if you want to know more about music production, I teach an online course about it too. Just shoot an email to wes@homestudiohits.com and I'll send you an application. Just for filling out the application, I'll send you a free sample pack of sounds I use to make the instrumental you're listening to and more. All these links will be available in the show notes, so you can check them out there. And while you're there, if you feel inclined to rate this show 5 stars, that would really help me out. Other than that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks again. Peace.